Silicon Valley can be a messy place, but we don't often get to see CEOs get caught red-handed fabricating users' names and emails. In what could turn out to be the biggest CEO fraud in recent years, on April 3rd, 2023, young and prominent Forbes 30 and under entrepreneur Charlie Javice was arrested on charges of fraud. Prior to the arrest, Charlie was an employee of United States' largest bank, JPMorgan Chase, and the CEO of a booming startup company, Frank.
Frank kind of represented that as a name because it just meant honest.
After selling the startup to Chase in a mammoth deal worth $175 million back in 2021, relations between the two parties took a downward tumble in 2022 when she got fired from the bank. A trifling court case emerged, and the fight between Javice and JPMorgan became a bitter and long one. But how did things all of a sudden go south for the promising Silicon Valley CEO? Stick around as we shine the light on the fascinating story of a CEO who invented over 4 million fake users.
This morning, Charlie Javice, founder of the financial and nonprofit Frank, could be facing up to 100 years in prison accused of defrauding JPMorgan Chase out of millions.
The road to Forbes list. Charlie Javice was born on March 14, 1993 in Westchester County, New York. She attended the French-American School of New York and later proceeded to the Wharton School of the University of Pennsylvania in 2013, where she obtained a bachelor's degree in finance and legal studies at only 19 years old. As a freshman at Wharton, Charlie first caught the attention of the fintech world when she co-founded PoverUp, a small microfinance organization, with her brother Ellie in 2010. Her brother and co-founder Ellie unveiled the organization's lofty ambition of reaching 100 million high school, college, and graduate students worldwide in 2011. PoverUp was styled as a non-profit organization that would harness small student contributions to make loans available to entrepreneurs in poor countries to lift them out of poverty.
In 2011, my organization PoverUp was named one of Inc. magazine's coolest college startups in the US.
The story behind PoverUp's establishment was a compelling one, as Charlie reportedly came up with the idea when she visited Myanmar as part of a student travel and learning experience trip while at Wharton School. There, she volunteered at the refugee camp on the Thai border. Howard Finkelstein, the lawyer who helped her set the company up and served on its advisory board, said, "Javice's goal is to save the world and nothing less." Well, the startup gave Javice her first taste of a symbiotic relationship with media outlets that would carry on for more than a decade. Her involvement in PoverUp garnered her a spot on Fast Company's 2011 list of 100 most creative people and a complimentary write-up in Forbes. PoverUp was ranked as one of the 11 coolest college startups by Inc. magazine, while Wharton called Javice the voice of a microfinance generation in a video that has since been removed from YouTube.
Startup capital, also referred to as seed money, is the amount of money you need to develop an idea into a business or organization.
The birth of Frank. After graduating in 2013, 20-year-old Javice turned to her next startup, Tapti. The startup aimed at connecting young people with job opportunities via text messages, but the company witnessed contentious mismanagement which made it fizzle out. However, on the background of such a devastating experience, Javice turned her turmoil into a thrilling story of triumph, rebranding herself into a different mission and a new pitch with a fresh startup. Then, in 2016, Javice co-launched Frank with an Israeli entrepreneur, Audio Messi, having convinced all her previous investors into funding this new company. This time around, she came prepared with a story that explains the way entrepreneurs and the media outlets that cover them talk about success. She carried herself with an air of importance, wanting everyone to notice that she was an upcoming leader in the fintech world. She was able to rally around investors to believe that building a startup is hard, failure is almost inevitable, but real lenders will always learn from adversity to find their true calling. Well, Javice seemed to enjoy the attention as she tapped into the media feedback loop, appearing in major news outlets and podcast circuits. She often spoke about the merits of being an entrepreneur, why rejection is a numbers game, and Frank's journey to reach almost 10 million households. The 24-year-old Javice soon broke into the limelight as magazines and newspapers carried her story in their pages and columns, heralding her as a female disruptor in the fintech world. Frank's major success lay in the possibilities it offered young students in helping them get free scholarship money. The software program guided students through the online Free Application for Federal Student Aid, or FAFSA application form, helping them complete more than 100 questions within a few minutes. In January 2018, Frank raised $10 million in funding from investors including Lemonade, WeWork, Bradley Tusk, and Mark Rowan, co-founder of Apollo Global Management. At that time, Frank had 18 full-time employees in the United States and Israel. Javice was named as one of Forbes' 30 Under 30 and Crain's New York's 40 Under 40. But things quickly became messy when in 2017, Frank's co-founder and chief technology officer Audio Messi sued Javice and the company for wage theft and failure to award the 10% promised equity. O'Messi additionally claimed that his salary for 1 month was drawn from Javice's personal bank account. Following these charges, he received $35,000 from Javice as compensation per court order. However, this was only the beginning of the startup's trouble, as that same year, the United States Department of Education accused Frank of potentially misleading customers to believe that it was affiliated with the US government. The company's original website was frankfafsa.com, but the team FAFSA was removed in 2018 following a settlement with the US Department of Education, who owned trademark rights to the acronym. In November 2020, the US Federal Trade Commission issued a warning letter to Frank, raising concerns that the purported assistance to students consists primarily of providing a form letter that may lack the information a student would need to apply for one of the grants from his or her school. Javice continued the sweet-talking and made bold claims on interviews about the giant strides Frank was making. In fact, in a 2019 appearance on New York's ABC news station, she claimed that college students left $40 billion in financial aid on the table every year, a number that student aid expert Mark Kantrowitz called bogus.
Unemployed, if you're going through a hardship right now, if you need, have a death or illness or medical bills, this is something where you could apply for these types of benefits.
Not only that, the company's website claimed that thousands of families using its services were able to receive $75 million in free aid back in April 2017. A year later, in November 2018, the numbers had been inflated to 300,000 families receiving over $7 billion in aid through its online platform. In September 2021, Javice sold her company to U.S. bank JPMorgan Chase for $175 million and was appointed the head of student solutions on the digital products team of the bank. The heavy purchase by Morgan was to deepen its ties with college students whom they viewed as potential customers. Javice remained CEO of her startup, while 15 Frank employees were brought on as part of the acquisition, from mid-level associates to executive level. As part of the acquisition, Javice received more than $9 million directly in stock proceeds and a $20 million retention bonus. Barely a year after selling Frank to JPMorgan Chase & Co. for $175 million, the bank accused 30-year-old Javice of fabricating almost 4 million client names and emails, the overwhelming majority of her company's users. JPMorgan Chase sued Javice and Frank Chief Growth Officer Olivier Amar for fraud, alleging that they lied to the bank by making up millions of fake student accounts to show that it had a successful, growing business. This was in December 2022 when the lawsuit was filed in a Delaware federal court. The lawsuit alleges that contrary to the 4.5 million student users the startup had purported, it only had 250,000 users in reality. The bank also pointed out that Javice and Amar paid a data science professor $18,000 to create a list of fake user-generated names and addresses in addition to purchasing a list of 4.5 million student names from a marketing firm. JPMorgan uncovered this fake user data in January 2022 when it launched an email marketing campaign with a goal of converting the startup's 4 million users into their potential customers. The bank sent a marketing email to a batch of 400,000 Frank users, but were shocked by the outcome as 70% of these mails were not successfully delivered and bounced back. Also, it was discovered that only 103 of the email's 400,000 recipients clicked through to Frank's website. Alarmed by such results, the bank took it upon itself to launch an internal investigation into the matter. Following the incidents, the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission charged Javice with fraud, which was filed in a U.S. District Court for the Southern District of New York. Javice was eventually arrested in April 2023 despite having denied the allegations. However, in a counter-lawsuit, Javice sued JPMorgan Chase for wrongful termination after the bank fired her in November 2022, alleging she was owed millions of dollars for expenses incurred while defending herself against internal internal investigations. She also claimed the bank violated student privacy laws. In May 2023, a Delaware court ordered JPMorgan Chase to cover Javice's legal fees as the bank also proceeded to shut down Frank's website earlier in January 2023. Succeeding Javice's arrest was Olivier Amar's 4-count charge of wire fraud, bank fraud, securities fraud, and conspiracy in July 2023. Although she positioned herself as an innovator with groundbreaking solutions to student loans and solving global poverty, Javice's greatest talent may have been leveraging elite institutions and national news outlets to gain an ever-growing platform.